Hey everybody, Thomas Joseph here, and today I am super excited to share with you the perfect formula for a refreshing margarita. Now, it's one of my favorite cocktails, but there's a little bit of confusion as to what type of tequila you should use, what is mezcal, what's reposado. So today I hope to share with you some information and that formula, and you will be having margaritas all summer long, I promise. Let's talk tequila. Now, in front of me here, I have a few different types of tequila. And what is tequila? Well, it's simply put a fermented and distilled beverage made from the sweet sap of the agave plant. Now, as it's written, tequila was made in the small town of Tequila, and now to be considered tequila on the shelf, it needs to originate from at least 5 different states in Mexico. It's pretty specific and delineated. It's kind of like bourbon, I'll say, here in the United States, where it's specific to a certain geographical location. Now, there are many different types of tequila. To start off, and what I'm going to be using today is Tequila Blanco, and Tequila Blanco is bottled soon after distillation, and that's why it's nice and clear, and it's good for mixing with cocktails. It's not necessarily a sipping tequila, I'll say. Next to that, I have Gold Tequila, and Gold Tequila is, it's interesting. It's basically Tequila Blanco that sometimes has coloring and flavoring added to it. So it's not necessarily aged in anything that gives it its color or its nuanced flavor. It's something that's added to it. So for the most part, I don't really drink Gold Tequila. I kind of skip on to some other types of tequila. Next to that is Reposado. So Reposado is interesting in that it's actually aged for at least 2 months, usually in oak, white oak barrels, which gives a slightly toasty, vanilla-like flavor to the tequila. Sometimes, and these days, in a lot of cocktail dens or really great bars here in New York City, you're starting to see some margaritas made with Reposado. Now, after Reposado, we have Añejo, which Añejo is aged for at least a year in oak, sometimes up to 2 or 3 years, and that has a richer flavor and body and is really great for sipping. So if you can find Añejo in your local liquor store, you should pick it up and give it a try. Now, all of these guys, the tequilas that we've been talking about, I said that they're distilled from the agave plant, but it's pretty specific. They're distilled from a specific type of agave, and that is the blue agave plant. Mezcal, which is picking up a lot of popularity here in the United States, in a lot of urban cities, has a little bit of a different story to it. So this doesn't have the geographical specifics that go along with tequila. This can be made from many different types of agave. It doesn't have to be specific to the blue agave plant. And most mezcals have a smoky kind of flavor or peppery flavor to it, which in a margarita, sometimes that can be great. It's kind of a different added dimension to the cocktail, but some people will mix mezcal in a lot of other cocktails. It's similar to, I'll say, scotch in that way, where it has that smokiness to it. But the main difference is that it's not necessarily, or it doesn't necessarily need to be distilled from the blue agave plant, and it doesn't have to be made in these certain regions. So I'm making a margarita today, and my basic ratio for a classic margarita is 2-1-1. 2 parts really good tequila, and again, I'm using the Tequila Blanco or the silver tequila or the white tequila today. 1 part sweetness, which today I'm going to be using cointreau, but if you didn't want an orange flavored liqueur in your margarita, you could certainly use simple syrup, although the cointreau or the triple sec or any other type of orange flavored liqueur is going to add some dimension into your drink. And then 1 part lime. That's my classic ratio. There are lots of different types of recipes that exist for a classic margarita, but that should give you a really well-balanced cocktail that's not going to be syrupy sweet like those cocktail mixers you get in the store, but is going to be perfectly balanced. So to get started, I'm going to squeeze my lime juice into the bottom of my cocktail shaker here. But before I do that, I'm going to fill it with a little bit of ice. Cocktail jigger here, that's what it's called. It measures out for you. So I need 1 part, as I had said, lime juice. And it's always best to use fresh limes when you're making a margarita. And one thing you should do is you should juice them as close to serving as possible, because with limes and grapefruits, over time, the juice as it sits will get bitter, and obviously the fresh flavor isn't gonna come through as much. So you really wanna make sure that you juice these closer to when you're going to use them. And this way you'll have that really bright, refreshing flavor. So this is going right into my cocktail shaker here. I'm going to add my cointreau. So again, it's the 1 part. And again, if you wanted to, you could certainly use simple syrup, 1 part of simple syrup, or you could use agave if you wanted to add that as well. And then I need 2 parts of tequila. So if you want a kind of classic pure margarita, use the Blanco. If you wanted something that has a little bit more character, you could certainly use the Reposado if you wanted to. So put the top on the shaker here, and I'm going to shake this until the cocktail shaker is nice and frosty. The one thing that's really important in cocktail making that a lot of people don't talk about, but is really, really key, is that you need to dilute the ingredients that you put into this cocktail shaker by about 1 ounce or a part for this cocktail that I'm making. It's really key in balancing out your cocktail, and it's not something that's written in a recipe, but it's something that as you get involved in cocktail making, you'll start to learn. So really take the time to give this a good shake. All right, so our cocktail is nice and cold. To finish up here, I'm just going to dress the glass up with a nice salted rim. Now it's up to you whether or not you want salt. I kind of like that addition. So take a rocks glass that's kind of traditional for a margarita, put it in a little bit of lime juice. You could also use syrup here if you wanted to. And then you can use coarse kosher salt, or if you wanted to be fancy, you could use pink sea salt. That would be really great. Anything you have for a beautiful kind of edge to your cocktail glass. Fill this with ice. And then fill your cocktail glass with this wonderful margarita here. This is a perfect tall margarita. Now you can garnish this with a lime wedge if you want, but there you go, guys. A perfect formula for margaritas at home. Forget those store-bought mixers. And when you're at the liquor store, if you're confused about tequila, hopefully you have a little bit more information and you can make a purchase and try some new things. There you go. Enjoy. And as always, guys, click like and subscribe.